I know we all watched that 60 Minutes interview from Monday, and Bill Whitaker, he pushed back, but she still could not answer any of the questions. Well, now things have gone from bad to worse. So CBS aired two different answers to the same question in its 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Harris, replacing the clip that aired on Face the Nation Sunday when the interview then aired a primetime special Monday. So here is what played on Sunday. This is the original interview in the question. Take a listen.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Okay, so that was brutal. That just told the world that she knows nothing about foreign policy. So this is then what aired primetime Monday night.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Wow. Kelly, what do you make of that?
It is complete. It's CBS trying to aid the Kamala Harris campaign, clearly. It's journalistic malpractice. I don't know why this isn't a bigger story. Those answers were completely separate. They weren't even clipped from the same long paragraph. It's misrepresentation. They're trying to aid her. But if you look at what CBS did with Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump had to bring his own camera crew when he sat down for a 60 Minutes interview a couple of years ago because he could not rely on them to not clip things unfavorably for him. He sat down with Leslie Stahl, where he brought up Hunter Biden's laptop in 2020, and she said, "We're not going to talk about that. That is misinformation. That is not true. It's not verifiable." And he just looked at her like, "Of course it is," and it has been. So 60 Minutes is clearly biased organization. It should not be considered a news organization. They clipped a campaign ad for Kamala Harris there, and I don't know why there's not more outrage within the mainstream media who loves to report on themselves as to what went wrong here.
Yeah, Mark, President Trump's team says they want that full interview, and you know this in news. Sometimes you'll have an interview, a soundbite, and then for another show maybe you clip it, meaning you cut it. Not different. You don't air a different answer. Maybe you make it shorter to fit the specific show. But I've never seen this before.
Well, sadly, I think we've seen it too many times before. And, I started my career in journalism, and I majored in television journalism way back in the Stone Ages, when I was a young person. But this is malpractice, but this is the same network. Remember that Dan Rather worked for that lied about George W.'s National Guard service, and it cost him his job. You saw what they did on the vice presidential debate stage just a week or so ago. You obviously referenced the 2020 where they were trying to run cover for Hunter Biden's laptop, only, a year or so later go, "Oh yeah, we got that one wrong." I mean, this is what we're seeing too often in the corporate legacy media, and it's really disturbing to me because we need a media that we can trust, that the American people can trust will tell us the truth, especially when we are in dangerous situations like we are right now in Florida, or when we saw with the COVID pandemic, or with a world teetering on war. And if the world or the American people can't trust the legacy media, then they're going to believe the conspiracy theories. They're going to go off and not do the things we need them to do for our national security. And I can only wonder what the late, great Walter Cronkite is thinking, rolling over probably in his grave.